Hey, going to take care of a shave today. This is a 10098 Omega. It's a Boar brush. It's really kind of more like a broom. He's not uncomfortable anymore. He's not comfortable yet. He looks like one of the ones that's just taken a little while to break in, but he's still young, just like 9 uses, so it's okay. This is a Gillette. It's a vintage from the UK. And it is the number 66. It's almost identical to the number 16, which is a lot rarer and more expensive. The easy delineation is to look on the bottom for this diamond-shaped base plate. If you see that, you know it's not a 16. So this is a 66. It's still a great shaver, but at a much less of a cost. If you want to get into the UK aristocrats, did I say aristocrat? It's an aristocrat. If you want to get into the UK aristocrats, which if you want to save up for it, I strongly encourage, because they're a whole different class of shavers than the American aristocrats. The blade in it is this Gillette 7 o'clock Super Platinum, or black, 7 o'clock black, and it's pretty new. It may only have 1 or 2 shaves on it. I don't know. I didn't put any dots on this particular one, but it should be on my computer log, and so that'll be reflected in the body content of the description. If that's important to you, you should be able to look there. In my series of LeBelle soaps, I got this Forest Moss as a part of a lot purchase, and I've tried the other 2. Excellent formulation. One of them, and what the scent wasn't really for me, but I think the other one was pretty cool. But the base and the performance of both the others has been tremendous, and so I expect this to be the same. Forest Moss. As you can see, it hasn't. I don't even know if it's been used at all. And let's see, the main notes here: oak moss, sandalwood, tonka bean. Tonka bean, I think I can pick that one out. Cedar, lemon, amber, musk, and petitgrain. Pretty sure that I do get the tonka bean, or maybe the amber. And I think this is one of those that I'm going to have to put myself along a wooded, covered forest path. Because those mossy undergrowth type notes are what the focus of this is. I read the description online about it from the maker, and so I think if I don't put my mind there, I may not enjoy this quite as much. But if I do take my mind there, then I believe that it could be a nice, enjoyable soap. So I've shown you everything lately, as usual. The Quintero bowl descriptions in the text for this video. Link to those files to print your own with a computer if you have one. And I'm going to splash my face with some water as a pre-shave treatment. All right. It is late and I'm sick. I had to take a 5-hour energy to be able to make the drive back, and so I am not yet super sleepy. Going to shake a lot of the water out of here. My notes for the other 2 of this soap base said that 30-second lather, 30-second load which is my standard when things are unknown, gave me a little bit extra. So let's try a 20-second load today. Oh, and the 10 just rolled around right there, so we'll just do this until we hit 30. This is my Omega, and it has long bristles, and it works best with a nice rich lather. There we go, that's 20 seconds. And so we'll see what happens. See if I end up with just the right amount of lather. My water is cool/cold these days because it's winter. And it is hard at this location. My last shave was with Sella, and I got a lot more lather than I usually do. I thought about duplicating that same shave, and I may do it tomorrow just to see if the my other location, family's house, has soft water, has nice water for lathering, and I was just curious if I duplicated everything, and water was the only difference, if that would make up for the amount of extra lather I had. Maybe tomorrow. Don't really know how well known this soap is. Maybe in certain regions, maybe it's a good local soap for people who are around that area. Pennsylvania. It's a very lightly scented soap. But if you're focusing on forest undergrowth, that's what you want to hit. You don't want to get it thick and obnoxious. Take my trusty little syringe here to be able to add water. And I think 2.5 was the amount of water that was appropriate for a 30-second lather. So maybe by, so I've reduced the load time by a third. So maybe that'll help me know about how much water will end up going in this guy. Still kind of sick. Not 100% back yet, but you know, we just kind of roll on. One and a half teaspoons now. Looking nice. Now with many soaps, you see all these striations and things like that. And see how it's being very rigid? That's a good indicator that you need to add more water. Some of them are not that way, but sometimes that's a good clue. Something you can, that's the kind of thing you can look for to help to memorize where your soap likes to be. With boars, especially kind of narrow ones like this that haven't splayed out quite yet, I like to just kind of gently push it down into the lather to kind of build up that center part right before I go to my face with it. Let's just try. Let's take a look here, show you what we're dealing with. Got a little bit of elasticity to it. Look at it kind of dropping. Let's add just a little bit more water, because in my notes I didn't really read much in terms of a tricky nature to the soap, and so I'm just gonna kind of go for my usual texture that I like to see, the usual movement. elasticity, and just hope that that's all right. If I get it too wet, I can just dry my face between each pass. If I get it too dry, I can leave a few extra bits of water on my face between each pass. Ways to fine tune there. All right. Let's just use this. Try that out. Splash of water on the face. All right, let's see what happens. Again, I'm gonna kind of jam it down in there, pack the bristles. Feels too dry right now, but we'll just lay a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely too dry. Should have kept going with the water. The water that I'm using is soft water because it's distilled. Well, hello there, little friend. And so let us, I think it needs more than just a little bit from what I'm seeing. I'm going to go ahead and put another half teaspoon in the bowl here, because I don't think just leaving a little extra water on my face between passes is quite going to do it. So I've got that, and then let's try that. Come on now, where'd you go? Okay, there you are. Not as much control with these big bristles. Maybe guys with goatees need to kind of leave these big guys alone. I don't know. There we go. This looks a little nicer as far as consistency goes. It's a beautiful lather no matter what you think about it. No matter how you like your lather to be in terms of consistency. So these UK, they are little pieces of jewelry as well as usable pieces you get to use every day, which I think is really cool. Oh, nice cutting. That is excellent. That's the way a razor should be. Just no tugging at all. One day's growth is what we're dealing with here. Just cleanly slicing. And this is a blade that I was slow to adopt, mainly because I just got a hold of some others that I really liked. But then I heard about these and said, okay, well, I probably had them in a sample pack, and who knows, it's possible I could have tried them out in the beginning when I was just a noob and didn't know any better. Technique wasn't strong. And when you do that, you can miss out. Keep those blades and try them again later, and your technique improves. Rinse time. All right, second pass. Lather just a bit thinner than before. Feels good. Plenty of it on my brush this time. Don't really need it that thick, but I've got plenty of lather as it turns out. Looks like that 20-second load was a good idea. I'll probably still end up with a little bit extra. But if you find a good soap, why not figure out how best to keep it around and enjoy it for a little bit longer. This is just cutting really well, including that little tricky area right there. There's one little area where the stroke I was doing was right, and then as I slowly move up and toward my ear, I will eventually hit the end of the swirl where the hair starts to point back at my razor, and then I'm going against the grain. And so sometimes that will tell me how sharp of a blade I have or how good of a cutter I have, is when I start to hit that opposing line. If it's rough, then I know that it's not quite as nice as times like this where I hit that and it didn't really bother me too much. Just kind of let me know that I was going against the grain, and then if I wanted to, I probably should turn it around and go a different direction. There we go. Good performance. Nice slick soap. It's time. And third pass. This brush comfortable yet? I'm feeling just a little bit of kind of not prickliness really, but just kind of the tips where it's not so comfy, but a lot of it kind of is. This brush did get a chance to soak for maybe an hour or two before the shave. He just seems like one that I'm going to have to wait for a little while for him to get soft and comfy as the tips split. This is one that I did put you can't even see it. I did put a O-ring around right there at the base of the knot to keep it from splitting quite so big, because I mean this would be huge if I didn't do that. Since I have a goatee, I don't really need it to be huge. Otherwise, I could do the big old swath across the chin mouth area. And I'm a little bit envious of you guys who can do that. But I don't look good without a goatee. I'm glad I took a second because I almost forgot to kind of tell you the scent. I did smell it a little stronger when I put my nose to the dry tub. I'm not really smelling too much of it right now. And so I'd say maybe it's a 4 out of 10. It's very light during the shave. But here's the thing, I do get a feel of dank undergrowth. Not really so bitter, more like a mossy. And in that sense, I think it's hitting right where it's aiming. And the performance is excellent. I could see myself being in a cabin somewhere, and what kind of shaving soap you're going to use? You're going to use pine? Well, you're surrounded by pines. You're going to use some kind of woody thing? Maybe, but you've already got all that around you. You just want something manly, something maybe unassuming, kind of natural smelling, but You know, and so this kind of fits that bill, to me at least. You know, you don't want to smell like Dracar Noir or some cologne or something like that. If that's kind of what you're going for, just something kind of natural, a little bit woodsy, but not something in your face at all. Different. I like it. It's interesting. Pondered this guy. All right, let's hack this last layer off. So this 66 is a really nice, comfortable shaver. This very razor may be the first UK Aristocrat I ever got. And it was my first taste into razors that were this wonderful blend of a smoother feel, maybe just a little bit of blade feel, but high efficiency. And I thought, wow, I didn't know that it could cut so well and still be so smooth. I think these guys just walk a really nice line. Between comfort and good close cutting. And there we go. I did catch a little tiny twinge somewhere on my neck somewhere, but I don't even think it's going to be a weeper. I got a feeling it was just kind of a little spot with maybe some where I was a little too hasty, something like that. And so who knows, but looks like it'll be fine. Rinse. All right, today's mix, while it, I showed it to you and it looks really nice. I think this soap doesn't quite need to be hydrated this much. I think it could use to be backed off just a little bit. While I enjoyed this very much, it did not have a creamy feel to it. Just a little hair there. This is about how much I have left, maybe half a pass in the bowl here. And this is kind of what I like to see at the end of a shave, a little bit of margin in case I botched a batch. So I'm happy with this. So it looks like for LeBelle, 20-second load time on the puck is about right. Now, is that right for all brushes? Probably not. This is a fairly pokey Boar brush with a decent amount of backbone. And so less backbone may mean just a little bit more time, something like that. So definitely, and then if you're talking about a soft badger, then you might have to adjust it a little bit too. As in increase the time, maybe by, who knows, by 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. Try it out and see. But it might give you, what I do is maybe give you a ballpark starting point if you are really new and you're having trouble with your lathers. So that's why I give formulas out, just to give you a starting point. So, because some guys just have no idea what too much soap is. Like one guy took, I read one guy took the cream, Taylor of Old Bond Street, and that one tub I've heard is supposed to last you a few months. And he was using it up in a couple of weeks, because you're just supposed to take your brush and just touch it a little bit and get like an almond-sized amount. He was treating it more like a soap, really grinding it up and probably using a week's worth at one time. And so that's, that's kind of what I'm trying to help with the formulas. So you have a little ballpark, somewhere to start, so that you can then make your own adjustments and figure out where you like it. So No, the scents there, nothing really jumped out at me. There was a mossy note there that did come out and be prevalent. I'm really happy that the amber wasn't super strong. But I liked it. I liked it. It was just easy going. If you don't want to be overwhelmed with a soap, but you still want to have something of character, I like this soap for that purpose. Let me clean up. Along the same vein of unassuming scents that just are enjoyable despite the fact that they don't get in your face. I'm going to whip out my Lucky Tiger. I was talking about this with somebody today online, and this is not an alcohol based, it's a tonic type of splash, and it's got some nice things for your skin. It's not going to sting you and jolt you, and so I think it's nice for people like me who are night shavers, and it just helps to soothe. And I think it's got a little bit of aloe as well, and just an enjoyable part that I like to have in my routine. Sometimes light orange scent doesn't really get in the way of too many other soaps and stuff that I use, so it seemed fitting. So here's this Omega, splitting ever so slowly. But because of the rotation I have, I am not able to put these guys into as quick of a service, and so it's natural to see them slowly develop. But the advantage is I'm able to watch these guys develop all together, even though it is a little bit slow. So my Sterling Boar and this Omega are the two slowest. But that doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that's the way they are. They take a little while to split, get comfy, and all that stuff. All right. I don't like a lot of soaps that are this low key in terms of scent, but this just to me it's clear that they put some work into this scent to make it authentic. It really does smell like what it says. Now, I don't know if I can distinguish. Okay, it says forest moss, not northern moss. Yeah, so perfect. I also like that it's not a strong conifer type scent, because I don't like conifer forests. Grew up in them. Can't climb pine trees very well. Don't like that. Always hated that. Was the only tree I had in my yard, and so that's good for me. As far as closeness, I'm really happy with what I got. So this little shaver is good. I don't see any tips with any length, and that seems to be the standard for me over the last month or two with some techniques that I've learned. So that first year and a half was kind of one standard, and maybe first 2 years was one standard, and now I'm in kind of a different world where I'm just getting better shaves because I adapted my technique a little bit with the direction, especially in this area here. Everywhere else gets shaved just fine. How much water did I use in total? A couple of squirts from the bottle, as you probably saw. 3 teaspoons of water. In the future, maybe I'd back that off to 2.5 or 2. Just see what happens there. See if the lather would be creamier, but sometimes when you get back off with the water, then the lather doesn't bond to your skin as well to give you that slick protection that you need. So that would be something I'd watch out for if I back the water off. I think it'd be fine though, but that's what I'd look for. So here's a couple things to look for when you're looking at English Aristocrats. Look at the bottom. Is it solid? Does it have a hole? Look at the side here. Do you see rivets, or does it have is it like this? Obviously, is it open comb or a solid bar like this? This is a solid bar. And underneath, does it have the solid a flat base plate, or do you see this diamond bevel? You can also, of course, see the diamond shape from right here. Long diamond with pointy ends from here and here. And then this rail here, does it have a notch on each end, or does it turn into a T on each end with pieces right there? So those are some things to look for if you're trying to date and figure out what you have. Let's see. Okay, this one does not have the 430060, something like that. That was a patent number. And a lot of times you would see it on the underside of the razor, and it fooled me in the very beginning because as I looked down the list, I saw the patent number. What I didn't realize is there were several razors that had that same patent number. And so while having that number displayed can help to rule out a portion of the listing, it doesn't tell you exactly which one with some of the patent numbers, especially the one I tried to recall for you just there, because that one is shared with several razors. So that's another thing to look for. Nice smooth action. And and this is a TTO, twist to open, if you haven't heard that terminology before. And there we go. Some people put a little bit of mineral oil there to make the action smooth. Gillette never did that, apparently. And the reason probably was, and some people are advocates of this, I think I'm becoming an advocate of this, not lubricating it, because you don't want soap scum and hair bits to get down in there and be attracted to anything and start building up gunk. Okay, if there's nothing down there, lubrication wise, and there's nothing for it to stick through, and it can wash through more cleanly. So that's kind of the way I'm leaning right now, but they're good people on both camps. All right, so that's the 66. And also the numbers, the 66, the 16, that sort of thing. Those were actually not razor numbers, but set numbers. And the set meaning the box, the extra razor blades, that sort of thing. So sometimes the very same razor would be in two different sets. So sometimes you will see that, where a person might say, well, it could be a 58 or a 42. I'm just pulled those numbers out of my head, but there are some like that. I've got one, my Aristocrat, I think, my Junior, I think, is that way. You just don't know which set, if you don't know which set it came in, you can't be exactly sure which number it is. So that's a little bit of info about the Gillette Aristocrats. I did find a dot on this wrapper, and so it looks like this was the second use of this blade. All right, recap. LeBelle soaps. I have no idea if they're still in production. It's a good soap. I like it. Spike's Garden was one of the other ones I had, but I didn't really like a couple of the scents. I thought it was an intelligent formulation, but I like this better, even though it's barely noticeable when you're shaving. But sometimes when you're in the woods, some things are really subtle. I'm glad to have this guy. The 66 did great. The brush is coming along. Just all I can say with that Boar, we're training him up. I like that 7 o'clock black. It's shaved really well. Definitely have to put that in some more of my other razors, and maybe even put it on my favorites list to try to make sure I make that as one of the blades that I put through maybe a razor I'm testing or something like that. All right, there we go. That's the last of my LeBelles. I just had the 3. And I hope that this was something that was helpful to you. It was good for me too. It's now time to be tired. Go get some rest. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Good night.